That's the secret to life, by the way. The absolute secret to life is enthusiasm. I'm telling you. Listen, like I don't choose to sit in traffic, right? But I can choose to be super pissed off and raise my blood pressure and fucking, just go. Or I could choose to like listen to some music and call my friends and think about stuff, like you like your whole relationship with it changes.
And enthusiasm as a thing that you can opt into, as opposed to something that is meant to just come to you.
Everything's a choice. Everything's a choice.
We live in a complex and ever-changing world, a place that is maybe harder than ever to successfully navigate. The answer is surely to be brave, but it's also to seek and be open to guidance. Mentors are the one consistent through line in the lives of all accomplished people, myself included. So welcome to Mentor Buffet, a feast for those, like me, curious about who helped the most successful among us succeed.
My first fine dining job, I wanted to cook, and the chef was like, you don't really know how to cook yet.
This was in Baltimore.
This was in Baltimore.
Duff Goldman is a famous chef who you've probably seen all over your television.
All right, I have an hour. I'm going to make this. And they're like, you can't make that in an hour. And I'm like, watch me.
In 2002, he opened his own bakery, Charm City Cakes, in Baltimore.
I have this weird thing where I'm not a weirdo, but I mean, I am. But okay, I'm just going to say it. I love to watch people eat.
Duff also has written multiple cookbooks. He plays bass guitar in a band, and I watch his shows before big races. There's something deeply comforting about seeing the height of a world that is not mine, but is specific. Here's my conversation with Duff Goldman.
I love watching people cook. People that are good at cooking, the way that just you move. I mean, even if you're not really interested in the food, which, if you're training, you're probably not eating cheesecake. I don't know, maybe you are. You probably burn a lot of calories. But
sometimes.
Just watching people like move smoothly with efficiency and with complete confidence, right? Watching someone slice, watching a sushi chef, like slice something up. It's like,
you're watching someone at the height of their world, which is fascinating. And you're also watching them in like this artistic.
It's a craft, right?
Yes.
And that I think that's it is artistic. I mean, these are beautiful, right? But like there's an art to everything, but there's I think a lot of times people sort of misconstrue the difference between an art and a craft, right? There's the art of something, just being able to visualize it, oh man, this would be cool. And then this would be cool. But to make it actually cool, you have to make it. You have to pull it out of here and create it in front of you. That's the craft, right? That's the craft. I'm sure watching, an amazing athlete, right, doing what they do. There's a certain just beauty and style and art to it, but it's a craft.
Yes, it's a craft.
It is absolutely. You are doing something repetitively over and over and over to get really good at it. Cooking's the exact same thing.
Yeah. I know that you have been interested in food since you were really, really young.
Yeah.
But you have a really interesting relationship with mentorship. And yet there is so much tradition, technique, rules, everything. My understanding is that it's very specific in your world.
I've been thinking a lot about this, ever since you asked me to talk about it. I've really kind of put a lot of thought. I'm like, okay, well, I could talk about, this chef or, this art teacher or, this guy I used to do graffiti with. Like, there's so many different sort of people that have come into my life and have taught me things. But like, as far as like mentorship, like, I don't think I ever really had one. And it wasn't like through like lack of interest. Like now looking back, I can look back on, see many people that really tried to, like mentor me and help me sort of, get me through life. But I think the thing is like, I'm just so stubborn with everything. I need to do it, right? I was one of those kids. It's like, no, let me do it. Like, I want to figure out how to do this. And people would tell me like, like if you mix that color and that color, you're not going to get it, or, you're not going to get what you think you want. But until I do it, I just didn't believe anybody.
Surely you don't go in there. You're not stubborn because you're stubborn. You're stubborn because you want something and you wanted to learn things for yourself in order for them to be real.
I think that's the biggest thing, is that you can tell me a million times that thing is hot, but until I pick it up and I drink it and it burns my mouth, I'm just like, I want to know what that feels like. I want what do you mean by hot? What is that? Like need to mess it up. Be like, okay, I get that. Like I need to make that mistake, or, I need to just figure it out for myself. Because when I figure it out for myself, then it's in there. Then I'm like, cool, I got this, but just somebody telling you over and over again, like, don't do that. I have to do it. I could, like, the more you tell me not to, the more I want to. And I think that I was just too stubborn to really allow somebody in and to give anybody the trust. I just never never trusted anyone enough to take their words and have those words mean the same thing to me as actually doing the thing and seeing that, that doesn't work.
Right.
There you go.
What do you actually feel when you learn something yourself, for better or for worse?
In that moment, I think probably my very first thought is, okay, well, that didn't work. How could I have done this differently?
Oh, wow. That's really cool. That's really cool because most people are so afraid of messing up that they defer to other people's advice and what the world has given them over their own, like to the point where they don't even think or experiment for themselves because they don't want to be responsible for the failure.
Mm-hmm. It's made me a really slow learner, but I trust all of my knowledge. I fail so much. And I think that I've just gotten, I've been able to sort of separate my self-worth from my scoreboard. I've been close to bankrupt twice, right? As an adult, and like very close, close to the point where I was like, I'm going to have to go, get a job in a Wendy's or something. And it's fine, right? It's okay. It's fine. It doesn't make me a bad person.
Right.
It makes me a bad businessman. I'm a terrible businessman. I have great business people around me now that are really good at that stuff. But I have learned that I am not good at running a business. That's what I've learned from all that, which is great. It's great to learn that, because now I can stop doing this thing. I hated doing it anyways. I'm terrible at running a business. I got people that I trust that, we're like a little family, and they're great at it, and I'm like, you guys are great at this. And they're like, you're good at what you do, and we have a good, sort of a really good team. But I fail. I've lost 95% of the competitions I've been on television. I lose all the time, constantly, and it's fine. I'm not like I'm a bad cook. I'm a really good cook. I'm not good at cooking on television under a clock.
Why do you think that is?
Because I'm stubborn.
Oh.
Because I'm like, all right, I have an hour. I'm going to make this. And they're like, you can't make that in an hour. And I'm like, watch me. That's it's the worst thing anyone can do is tell me I can't do something. Because I'm like, well, then now I have to, because you told me I can't, and I just competed a week ago.
Okay.
And there were 4 judges. I had an hour, and I was like, I'm going to make yeast donuts, right? Which you can't make those in an hour.
And you made the decision to make the yeast donuts?
I made the decision.
What made you want to make the yeast donuts what was it?
My donuts are great.
You okay, you just wanted to.
Yeah,
Great.
I just wanted to. I make good. I was like, all right, the other person was making chocolate cake. I had to make something chocolate. I was like, I'm gonna make a Boston cream donut.
And you and all knowledge would say you didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
And you did it anyway.
Uh-huh.
And I was asking you why you decided on the donut because I was wondering if your decision making comes from a place of like stubbornness in like a curious, like confident way, which it does, or stubbornness based on if you say no, I'll say yes, where it's basically a reactive thing.
It comes from like, all right, I have an hour. I want to do the most.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
I'm going to do the most. And like, I'm not just going to make something that I know I can make in 45 minutes. Cause then I'm like, why am I here? You can get anybody to come in here and do something for 45 minutes, and make you a perfectly good chocolate chip cookie. But like making a yeast donut, like that's crazy. Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I pulled it off. They were good. I still lost, but they were really good. Like at the end of it, like I saw that I made really beautiful donuts in an hour that were really good. And I was like, all right, like that's great. That's all I needed.
You needed to be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
That seems to be a big thing for you is like your relationship with yourself is so important and it's strong.
I mean, all of us spend most of our lives in here, just thinking about stuff, you know what I mean? And like, I think that to keep myself from going crazy, like I had to get myself to the point where I like myself, and I'm like, I like having conversations with myself. I like seeing where my brain goes when I let it off the chain, just let it go and float. A lot of people are terrified of that, where their minds can go, because they can go anywhere. They can go to really dark places. And if you, just let it off and let it explore, let it do its thing, then who knows? But that's all just, I don't know. It's a lot more fun.
It is a lot more fun. And you basically have created a safety. You're safe doing that with yourself. A lot of people, they're not accessing their instincts, their thoughts, because it doesn't feel safe.
Why is that?
They might have gotten that feedback at an age where they needed other people. Like if you're a kid, right, and you get feedback that your behaviors and instincts are not safe from like your parents, for example, they take care of you. So inside that you need them. And so you change how you orient with the world because you know that you need people at that age. At least this is like I'm not a doctor.
No.
But when you get older, like it's so important to outgrow the antiquated reality that's no longer true, that you need anybody to kind of sustain you in that same way. Because you said I needed to like myself and have that relationship with myself. You said that. When did that happen for you?
I'm a weirdo, and I've been one my entire life. And like I use that word because it's like it's the best word for it. It's the word that the world gave me. That's the label that sort of everybody gave me. And instead of like shying away from it or being like, no, don't call me a weirdo, I was like, you know what, you're right. And it's just owning it, and making it part of me. It's like for me, like calling somebody a weirdo coming from me is one of the highest compliments I can give somebody, because like, hell yeah, be a weirdo, be confident in who you are and what you are and, the things that you have to offer. I have always been unapologetically myself. And as a kid, I would get it all the time. Like, you're a weirdo, like you like weird stuff. I was by myself a lot, I just like, I very much value my sort of my solo time. Like I like to, do solo things. Like I'm a carpenter, right? I do a lot of woodworking, and that's like a long stretches of time with you're just spending in your head creating things. And I'm really comfortable doing that. As a kid, I think that I had to make a choice. Never really put this into words, but thinking about it now, I think that I had to make a choice to either like conform or just be like, yeah, I'm weird, and like be comfortable with that. Cause it's like, you're going to move away from your friction. Right. So I could either move away from my weirdness and try to be like everybody else, or I could kind of move away from a lot of people and just embrace this, because this is who I am. why did I cook? Why did I keep coming back to cooking? I have no idea. I mean, food was always part of my life. It was big in my house, but my mom was an incredible cook, but she was never a professional chef. I mean, that wasn't really, we didn't really eat out a lot. My mom was an amazing cook, So food was always around, but why did I go into cooking? Why does cooking feel so good to me? I don't know.
Well, you're making things.
I'm making things, right? And I'm feeding people. I think that's one of the things is I have this weird thing where I'm not a weirdo, but I mean, I am, but okay. I'm just going to say it. I love to watch people eat. And my wife will stop, cause I just love watching people enjoy food. It's not a weird fetish thing at all. It's nothing like that. Just seeing people eating something yummy makes me happy. And I like watching them do it. I'm we were at Disneyland and we were
I
going
went there
around.
last week for my birthday.
Yeah, it's great. So the thing about Disneyland, people are constantly eating everywhere.
They are. You're
and they're
eating on the ride.
yummy stuff. They got a churro, right? I got a Dole Whip, I got a Mickey Mouse pretzel with cheese in it, whatever it is. And you see people eating it and they're just they just, it's so good. And you feel it for them, I love watching people eat. I think there's there's definitely an empathy there. There's no poker face when you're eating something yummy.
Yeah, there's
right?
no poker face.
Nothing, right? You just,
wow.
You make little noises, you shimmy,
Right.
Right. There's all these things that we sort of do subconsciously when we eat something yummy or eat something gross. And why is it okay, you're oh my God, taste this. It's horrible. Why do we do that?
Why do we push it on other people?
Yeah,
I think it's
oh my God, this is so bad. You should try it.
It's because it's absurd humor.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
To eat something bad and share it is sharing an absurd joke.
But we all do it.
I do it.
We all it's
It's because it's low stakes too. You're not gonna die because it tastes bad. It's just gonna taste bad.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a way.
You get to share that experience with someone.
Yeah, you get to share it. I love that. Yeah, I was at Disneyland last week and I was amazed that they let us eat on the rides. I was like, why am I allowed to bring this chocolate covered banana on It's a Small World? I was like, I need to throw this away. And my friend Colleen was like, no, do whatever you want. It's Disneyland. And I was like, I feel so weird bringing this onto this nice boat. Someone is inviting me onto their boat and I'm going to bring a chocolate covered, treat. But I guess I could and I did.
It's Disneyland.
I guess in the food world, tell me about mentorship in general.
Well, earlier we were talking about craft, right?
Yeah.
And the thing about craft is that the way that craft propagates is by people teaching other people how to do it. Here's how you make puff pastry. Here's how you make a guitar. Here's how you, make whiskey, right? These are the methods that, it's just you do this, then you do this, then you do this. It's just a scientific process for all those things. And within cooking, when you're in kitchens, that is happening constantly, right? My first real, my fine dining job, but even before that, but my first fine dining job, I wanted to cook and the chef was like, you don't really know how to cook yet.
This was in Baltimore.
This was in Baltimore, right? And the chef was Cindy Wolf. And she was like, I had my resume with me and it was McDonald's and Greasy Spoons. I had worked at a breakfast joint. I worked at a pizza place, just where you work in high school. And she's like, yeah, working this kind of food is very different than that kind of food. And she was actually really good and patient with me because at that point I had no idea that even pastry chefs existed. I didn't realize that there was somebody whose sole job it was to bake things. And so she's like, look, I'm not going to hire you to cook because you don't know how to do it, but I'm going to teach you how to bake cornbread and biscuits. And that's what you're going to do. And I was like, okay. So she hired me for a couple of days a week and she herself taught me how to bake cornbread and biscuits. She's like, this is how I like it done. Do it exactly like this. I didn't know any difference. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it exactly like this. So I did it exactly like that. And it was great, right? I got really good at cornbread and biscuits. I did it for 2 years. So that was like, that's sort of what's happening in kitchens constantly. Yeah. And while I was there, we had a pastry chef. His name was Jean-Paul, off the boat, French dude, so grumpy, like scary. And he was like, I think he was, I don't know if he was like, maybe he was burnt out a little bit, but I think he was just maybe overcooking, right? He was older, So I was this kid and I was baking cornbread and biscuits and he's like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to make the puff pastry. So he taught me how to make puff pastry because he didn't feel like doing it anymore, right? And then he's like, I'm going to teach you how to make the ice cream. And so he showed me how to make ice cream. And then I would make all his recipes, they were his recipes. He showed me how to do them and I would do them and I got good ice cream. He taught me pat a shoe. He taught me a lot. Like that guy was really, really great. Like he taught me a lot about how to cook.
And did you trust the instruction you were getting from these two chefs intrinsically?
Yes and no. Okay. So like, for example, Cindy taught me that I had to put my cast iron cornbread molds in the oven before and heat them up and then pull them out and fill them up with cornbread batter and then put them back in. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense because you're just going to,
it's just going to heat up.
Yeah. It's just, you put it in the thing and it heats up. Like I'm not doing that. And then like all my cornbread would be super blonde on the part that was touching the metal. So they'd be baked on the top, but where it was touching the cast iron, it had no color. And I would get yelled at. She'd be like, you're not heating up the pans. You're supposed to heat up the pans. So then when I was like, okay, and I do it again and I heat up the pans, same cornbread batter, same time in the oven, same everything. And you pull them out, beautiful golden brown on the outside. I'm like, huh, okay. Now I understand why she said, heat up your pans, right? But I had to see what happened if I didn't,
Yeah. What is good about being a slow learner?
You can like gain some wisdom, but sometimes you're too young for that lesson.
Do you have space for it as you grow older, or like the capacity?
Maybe just the confidence to say, yeah, you know what? I need 3 friends. I don't need any more friends. I don't want any more friends. Like being able to say that or being able to like understand the value of consistency, like it's something that I think it takes us a while to learn. I'm sure as athletes, but definitely as chefs, consistency is very important, but consistency in your life, that can be a tough one to really understand when you're younger, I want to make every one of them different. Like, well, you're not going to sell that many.
I had a call yesterday with this acting coach that like I worked with through the Sundance Lab. She's like a legend. She's in her 80s. And she was basically telling me that the purpose of life is to figure out how to best waste time. But it's all on us, right? It's all our decision. It's not for anybody else.
Yeah.
Because it's your life.
Huh.
And
I love that.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah. I love that.
Right? And so all these lessons that you're talking about are these moments of learning, which is honestly the way that you live, Duff, is really cool because you basically are saying, it's my life. I want to learn these lessons. It's my experience to learn them. It's part of the joy of my life to learn and grow. Like, because.
Yeah. Sometimes there's like beauty in tedium. I love tedious work. I don't know why.
What's tedious work to you?
Just things that are like if I'm like piping on a wedding cake, right? Like really tiny, detailed piping. I love it. I can do it all day long.
Why?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. I've always woodworking, carpentry is also like, it's a slow, deliberate, meditative process, and there's something about like when you're doing something tedious, your consciousness, which is, okay, I'm going to plane this edge, and then this has to be 90 degrees, and then, okay, I got to cut it at 45. You're sort of like doing all those things and creating something in the real physical world. But then your subconscious, it is on vacation. It just like when you're really feeling it, it's free. It can do its thing. It can explore whatever it wants to. I think that there's something that when you are sort of letting your subconscious sort of do its own thing, and you are literally just the machine, the mechanic, you're just the meat, right? That's creating whatever it is that you're creating. Then you really are, sort of feeling that thing from the universe, whatever your higher power is, right? That's when you're really feeling it,
We've gotten so like esoteric with it, but it's like, it's kind of like, because I'm even thinking about you talking about the weird thing of basically finding ways of having less resistance allows you to kind of just be who you are. Because by doing something tedious also, or being in flow with running for me, I'm able to like let in what's really inside me, right? Which is the only thing that could really run my best anyway, to be honest. And you're having these thoughts or whatever happens when you're in your tedium.
When you're running a 10K, I'm sure you're like all over the place. You know?
Yeah, it's weird. And you're kind of nowhere. Like at times,
Totally.
I have to admit, everyone's like, don't you have your deepest thoughts and like come with your book ideas? And I'm like, honestly, like not really. Like I sort of repeat the same words. Sometimes things come through me, but it's not a forced, it's just like a door that's open. So sometimes a lot will come through and sometimes less. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
It's cool. And it makes me feel like you really live a life where you're really championing your own experience.
Empirical knowledge, right?
Right.
Empirical knowledge. Just that's like that. Empirical knowledge is the most grounded, the realist, because you experienced it. You get it. You're like, okay, I get it.
Well, it's very what is the word? Existentialism, where it's like basically like your joy is derived from like getting from A to C instead of just like being at C. It's like basically watching yourself go through the process is the joy of it.
Totally.
It's like, and that's that takes a second, because when people tell you enjoy the journey, for me that actually, it's true, but it didn't resonate when I was just told that. I had to figure out like that the journey is the same no matter what the result was, if I'm just committed, right? So like if I get on the team or not or whatever, it doesn't change my preparation or the process there. So I might as well, I actually am in the dream while I'm chasing it. Yeah. Whether or not that light bulb at the end turns on or off or whatever, if you think about it as like Christmas lights. Yeah. But that took me like realizing I couldn't really just trust.
You don't get that as a kid. You just don't get it. You're just like, you're like, no, I'm going to be over there. Let's get there. Like, you do it. It's like, no, man, like, enjoy this. Like, stop and smell the roses, right? That's another one. Like that, just enjoy the journey and whatever it's going to be, Yeah. Yeah. That's one that it took me a while to really like, again, understand it. Like you hear it, you know what the words mean, but to really understand what it means to enjoy the journey. Yeah. It takes a while.
I really loved our conversation. And I actually, like, I'll admit, like, I found it almost challenging in a way, because it was almost like I wanted you to like give me things because I want to be mentored. And really what I just realized is that what you've given me is that I need to experience all this stuff for myself. Like I need to learn all this stuff for myself. And I feel like I am sometimes looking for like the shortcuts or I feel like I'm lacking something that everybody else knows. Cause that's just how I felt growing up. I was like, I don't have a mom. So like there's all this shit that people learn from their moms. Like I'm missing a 50% of what people get. Sure. For better or for worse. Yeah, I just don't have anything to push up against. Like even the stuff you were saying about when someone said this, I wanted to go this way. I'm like, give me something. I will push against it, but I didn't have that for either direction, Yeah. So I feel like I came in here being like, bless me with your Duff wisdoms. And I'm like, oh, wow, Alexi, like I'm a little humbled because it's like, it really is my own journey to own.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. And listen, you're going to learn stuff as you go through life. I'm learning things. You want another great cliche that I heard?
Yeah, I want all your cliches.
Okay, this one's great. This one's like allow this one to just like inhabit your soul for a while. Every day is a school day.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Every day is a school day.
I would never, ever, ever guess. I could never have guessed that you would have said that.
It's so right. And the thing is like when you say that every day is a school day, then the logo on the bucket from the hardware store that says do it right, then you can see that in the light of maybe I can learn something from that, as opposed to, it's a clever corporate slogan. It's actually great advice.
Yeah, it is. Every day is a school day.
Every day is a school day.
Well, also school is a safe place to learn, right? Isn't that kind of the idea of it too, is you're supposed to learn in school? That's what it is. It just means you're supposed to, like, it's an opportunity to learn, and also it's not bad to learn.
It's great to learn, and you never stop learning. You stop having people say facts to you.
Yeah.
But you never stop learning, and like how much knowledge do you get from your teachers versus how much knowledge did you get from your friends?
Yeah. Oh,
got a lot more knowledge from your friends than you did from your teachers. Your teachers teach you some stuff, but the best ones teach you how to teach yourself things.
Yeah.
How to be enthusiastic about it. That's the secret to life, by the way. The absolute secret to life is enthusiasm. I'm telling you.
Just applying it across the
be
board.
Enthusiastic about where, like, did you ever see Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Yeah.
All right. So remember when Damone was telling his guy like how to go out with a girl and like be on a date, and he's like, like when you walk into a place, you just got to look around and be like, hey, isn't this great? Just doing everything you do with enthusiasm, making everything you do fun is so much better. Going to the grocery store, right? Going to the grocery store can be really stressful, right? Like I've noticed that like everybody in the grocery store, like if you don't have the right mindset, everybody is your enemy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it's
right.
survival.
Everybody is your enemy. But like when you go to the grocery store with like, oh man, we're going to look at all this food, we're going to see all the fish, and the cereal and look at all the fruit, like it's just, I don't know. There's like when you like get excited about going to the grocery store, or you get excited about like practicing your instrument or whatever it is, when you do it with excitement and with enthusiasm, it ceases to be a chore. It's just more fun, right?
Yeah. And enthusiasm as a thing that you can opt into, as opposed to something that is meant to just come to you, is a really beautiful, I mean, you must believe that you can opt in if you're saying that you can do it all the time and everywhere. And you have a more active opportunity in your life if it's a choice you can make.
Everything's a choice. Everything's a choice. Listen, like I don't choose to sit in traffic. Right. But I can choose to be super pissed off and raise my blood pressure and fucking, just go. Or I could choose to like listen to some music and call my friends and think about stuff, you like your whole relationship with it changes.
You're kind of like winning at life if you can decide that everything is a choice and go to everything because everything can also suck.
It can.
Right? Like,
yes.
It's like,
and there's like things that suck and you can make them suck less, by just how you interact with it,
Yeah.
The thing that I've realized is like, don't try to be a celebrity chef. Don't try to be a TV star. Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. Well, I would say that your thing, if we had to put a thing on a bucket for you, it's like Duff Goldman believes himself. Like, or you believe, it's like not even just believe in, it's like you believe in your own experiences. You believe that if you want to have an enthusiastic attitude about something mediocre, it will be true. And that's pretty awesome. That's a thing that I think anyone could cultivate for themselves too.
Yeah, it's a choice, man. I've had a lot of people that have been incredible and have taught me amazing things. Like, I don't want to sound at all like I did all this myself. It's not in the slightest. I just wasn't ever, I was just too pig-headed to ever allow anyone to be my mentor.
It's almost like mentorship in the cooking world is just letting somebody try in your space. Like for them to even let you in their kitchen and showing you for 5 minutes and then letting you do it is letting you in that door.
Totally.
And you're showing people that by how you teach. Like you live it through and through, which is really cool.
Thanks.
And I appreciate that about you. And I appreciate you, Duff. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so grateful. If you're enjoying Mentor Buffet, follow Voicing Change for more inspirational and truly life-affirming content from shows like Soul Boom, The Proof, Feel Better, Live More, and the Rich Roll podcast. Just go to voicingchange.media. That's voicingchange.media for a beautiful selection of productive and positive shows.